It's almost 2 o'clock. We will start the seminar.
गुप्ता जी,
We send you all the time a covering letter when we send you a flyer about the seminar. Along with that, we send a little covering letter. And that is the purpose of these seminars, how to stay healthy, so that I don't have any disease-free. Now, there is no such a thing, but at least there are lots of things we can prevent. And that's the purpose of these seminars. And we have given you background because you have to know how the disease starts, how it progresses, there are stages. And if you go beyond a stage, then you cannot prevent it. You have to accept it. So there is no such a thing called prevention at that stage. And that is only secondary prevention, so we don't develop complications. We have to depend upon medications and so on. During the last 10 months, we heard different topics and we talked about prevention. We talked mostly about the Western medicine, the allopathic system, we call it, allopathic to the traditional Indian system of medicine. So that's where the word allopathic comes, or Western system. We had a session on yoga a couple of months ago, and today we are going to hear about the Ayurvedic system. Where does it stand? What is the Ayurvedic system? And in terms of prevention of disease, what's its role? And just to mention to you, in January, 2 months from now, we'll have the homeopathic system. Somebody is going to come and talk to us. Then in February, we'll put the whole thing together, the role of all system modalities of treatment into healthcare. What have we learned in the last that many months and in the next few months? So it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Gupta, who is well known in the field of Ayurvedic system of medicine. And I'm looking forward to his presentation. And the topic is, where does it stand, the Ayurvedic system? Firstly, what is it? Secondly, where does it stand comparing to the system that prevails in this country now? And what is its role in prevention of disease? And so without any further ado, Dr. Gupta, I'd like to welcome you. Please.
Happy Dhanvantri Day to all of you. It is very interesting, and it is not planned, that I have my talk on Ayurveda. Maharshi Dhanvantri. Maharshi Dhanvantri, he was the founder of Ayurveda. It's very fortunate that I am talking on this subject today on Dhanvantri Day. My topic is ancient medicine for modern times. It is ancient because Maharishis revived and cognized this particular subject just like any other Vedic system. It comes from cognition, from the state of meditation, which makes Ayurveda accessible and understandable to each one of you. If we can reach to that state of meditation, the principle will be cognized same as they were cognized 5,000 years in the written tradition, oral, it's eternal. It is modern because it is time tested and over 600 studies prove that it enlivens, this is the key sentence, inner intelligence of body. This particular line in practice empowers each one of us to take care of problem and nib it in the bud while it is just rising. That's where we have most effective tool to prevent, first of all, the rise of disease, and if it has happened, arrest it before it advances to the advanced stages where we have no choice than just live on medicine for lifetime. So my talk is structured in 3 parts. First of all, I will talk about Swastha, which translates as homeostasis. Is not exact translation, that is the closest English word we could have for Swastha. Part 1 of my talk will be talking about balance in terms of 3 doshas, and I will explain that in next slide. I will introduce what is dosha and how to know your dosha or my dosha. Part 2 is what happens if these doshas or 3 governing principles go out of balance. And part 3, if they go out of balance, how to restore balance by prevention and restore balance. So first part starts now, and that is about 3 governing principles, homeostasis, Swastha. Sanskrit, the closest word for swa is self. Does not justify or capture the total meaning of swa. It relates to Atma. There is no exact translation. The closest word is self. So when we say Swastha, and stha means establish in homeostasis, state of balance. When we say balance, what exactly we mean by what has to be balanced? In Ayurveda we talk about these 3 principles. We call them in Sanskrit doshas. Doshas are 3, vata, pitta, kapha. In a moment I will define these words. In their balanced state, they maintain body in healthy state. When imbalanced, they afflict the body with imbalances and diseases corresponding to nature of one of these principles. This is a statement from Charak Samhita, one of the main texts that is used as reference for this. These are 3 governing principles. There are 3 principles of intelligence that govern the mind and body. In Ayurveda, everything starts with unmanifest, which is Atma. And this Atma, the governing, then permeates through intellect, buddhi, through mind, manas, then through the 5 senses, indriyas, and then through the 5 elements, Panch Mahabhutas, connects to the world to get back to experience of self-realizing, I am that. This is the whole purpose, and there are 3 principles that are then understood through these Panch Mahabhutas of 5 elements in the body. And these 3 principles are here, Vata, Pitta and Kapha. Vata, all kinds of movements in our body, includes circulation, transportation, elimination, thinking process, everything, even blinking of eyes, all of that subtle movement, gross movement, everything is governed by Vata. So we can correlate for our understanding, it is related to nervous system and circulatory system and elimination system. The second principle is called Pitta, which is for digestion and metabolism. Any kind of transformation of food into nutrients and into tissues, or transformation of idea into thought and then a conclusion or a knowledge. Any transformation is known as Pitta. The physiological correlates of Pitta are digestive enzymes and hormones. So all the digestive enzymes that help to break down the food and convert into body tissues, or hormones that help to convert even the idea into thought and knowledge, all of that is known as Pitta. Third principle is called structure or Kapha. This correlates to all the body fluids, so which means blood, urine, cerebrospinal fluid, or strong body tissues as bone, muscles, tendons, everything. Everything that form our body is called Kapha. Everything that help to maintain this formation of the body through the food, digestion of food and convert into nutrients and metabolize, that's Pitta. And everything that transports all of these nutrients throughout our body to get body nourished and takes away and eliminates the toxins from the body is Vata. So now we have to understand how do we apply these principles. Though I have given you correlates, physiological correlates, but that's not how we really maintain balance of these three factors. There are some properties of these three principles that are very much we practice them on day-to-day basis, and those properties are important. So now what I'm going to do, mention those properties as we experience them, just like talking about property of chili, which is hot and sharp. That's what I mean by property. So, or oil, oiliness in the oil, that's the property. And based on just this knowledge, we use it on day-to-day basis in our life. So that's what I am going to explain. Then I will explain what can make, based on those properties, what are the foods and things that can make it go out of balance, how do we know the balance, and how to restore balance. So the first factor, as I talked before, is Vata. The qualities of Vata are dry, light, cold, rough, subtle, moving, quick. One simple example. Say if this moving quality of Vata has increased in colon, outcome of that could be diarrhea. Just one simple example. If dry quality of Vata is increasing too much in the colon, can dry the stool cause constipation. So that means if Vata is balanced, it will reflect as proper and complete regular elimination. One of the most important sign of health. Functions, because of these qualities, these are main functions of Vata in our body. Transportation, as of transportation of food, transportation of nutrients in blood, transportation of waste product through the urination, all of this is transportation. Movement, which means movement of blood circulation, and communication. Say if Vata is out of balance in the movement function, it can result into high blood pressure, one of the things. Or if it is in the joints, it can cause joint problems. So these are few examples. Now we go into qualities and functions of Pitta. And what was the physiological correlate of Pitta? It was enzymes and hormones. Main functions, digestion, metabolism. So which means if it is balanced, good digestion, good metabolism, that means good energy. If it is out of balance, based on what? That's what we will talk about. So here are the qualities of Pitta. Starting with slightly oily, light, hot, sharp, pungent, liquid, fluid. Key qualities out of all this group are hot and sharp. Why do we take the food and then we expose it to heat? Why? Because that heat helps us to break down those beans which otherwise if we eat them as it is, we may not be able to break them down. So we use that heat to break down the complex and compact, and then we eat so that it is easy for body to work upon it and then assimilate and metabolize the body tissues. So it is the heat quality of Pitta and sharp quality of Pitta. Sharp gives it penetration that breaks down and helps. If it is out of balance, then what can happen? If it is too much, if the hot Pitta quality is too much hot, what will happen? Then the sensation will be, if there is too much temperature here, what we will experience? We will feel more heat than we can tolerate. And inside the body, if it is in the stomach too much, there could be acid burn, or there could be acid reflux, sensation of burning. Simple. If it is too much heat, say in one of the joint, it can result into inflammation. Now, this could be understood in more complex system. What is the advantage of understanding the way I'm explaining it? Then it enables you just to understand heat is increased, not to eat heat. Simple tool that is in your hands, you can prevent them and prevent this starting stage of imbalance to go advancing into next stage. At that stage it is possible. If it has advanced already, then you have no choice but to see along. So what are the functions here of Pitta? Metabolism, digestion and transformation. So whatever we eat, transform that into the final product, that what we are made up of. Final product of complex carbohydrates is of course glucose, complex proteins is amino acids, complex fats is fatty acids. So that is the function of Pitta. If that is not happening, then naturally we will not get those nutrients properly. Well, third dosha, that which form us, what we are made up of, bones, muscles, tissues, nerves, everything that is in our body in the material form. That's called Kapha. Here are the qualities of Kapha: oily, heavy, cool, slow, dull, sticky, stable. To put in perspective and make you understand what exactly these things mean. Say if oiliness has increased too much or less, what will you experience this as? You will just say, I'm feeling dry skin. Means not drinking enough fluid, which is similar to Kapha, and that's why dehydration, so that's why there is dryness. Dryness or itchiness in the sinuses. That means again, either we using too much dry air and we are breathing that, so that's why there is this dryness in the sinuses, and that can convert into later on in congestion and mucus. So in that case, the simple procedure, if the oiliness is decreased, that means we use oiliness, itching on the skin, just apply some oil, it will go away. That is the simplest example I am giving. It's much more complex than that. Just to realize the nature of this class, I'm keeping it simple. Heaviness. If heaviness increased too much, that must be coming from the food that we are eating, which is heavy in nature, deep fried, too much dairy, too much gluten. And if we eat that too much, there will be a tendency of gaining weight easy and difficult to lose weight. Simple. So if a person wants to become light, has to eat light. Functions. So kapha forms the structure in our body, cohesion and lubrication. Simple example, if I ask, at around age 45, 50, many people start saying, oh, I have now, my memory is becoming fade, my hair, I'm losing my hair, my skin is becoming dry, wrinkles are starting. What is one thing common that is happening at that particular age? Body's own inner hydrating system. In Ayurvedic language we say kapha is depleting. So body is not able to maintain the hydration to hold so that gums can hold teeth longer. Skin can maintain its elasticity longer. And because of that depletion, we have to make extra effort to maintain that balance so we can, this thing is going to happen. What is in our hands is delay it as long as possible. We can age gracefully. And this kapha, if it is depleting too fast, we ignore what we are eating and don't maintain balance of this kapha factor, then naturally we will have these signs of aging and all other disorders that come with it sooner. So here are some of the locations of doshas. Doshas are there in each and every part of our body. So, which it does not, even if I am saying here main locations of dosha, it's there everywhere. Because it's not the structural significance by which they are known, it is the functional significance by which these doshas are known. This is important things to know. Many times I remember in India we talk about vata, pitta, kapha. People say vata means bloating, pitta means bile, kapha means mucus. Those are only known when they are out of balance. But when they are balanced, then they only give healthy signs. So good luster of the skin, oiliness of the skin, glow of the skin, that comes from kapha. Good digestion, good metabolism, that comes from pitta. So that's why it is important, if vata, pitta, kapha are there everywhere, but there are chief locations. So here you can see in this diagram, kapha is the upper 1/3 of the body, pitta is the middle 1/3 of the body, vata is the lower 1/3 of the body. These are just gross divisions of locations of vata, pitta, kapha. So they are there everywhere. And we can also see, if we know a little bit about our physiology, in the central part we have liver, we have pancreas, we have duodenum, so all the enzymes, and they are functioning in that area. Obviously that is more dominant with pitta. So though present all over the body, vata is found mainly below the umbilicus, pitta is found mainly between heart and umbilicus, and kapha is found above heart. Now, this is the unique thing, unique contribution of Ayurveda. When we talk about vata, pitta, kapha, it might seem like all of us have same. But all of us don't look same. If we break down our body, then we might look same. But the way we look, we are unique. And what makes us unique is the combination and proportion of vata, pitta, kapha is unique in all of us. If we can know, if there is a way that we can know our own dosha type in healthy state, then we got a key to unlock our own state of health and get empowered, find the technologies and modalities that we are doing anyway in the form of diet, lifestyle, and eating habits and everything, and eat according to your dosha type, your makeup, so that you are eating most suitable food. If we learn that, then naturally the key for prevention, based on just what we are doing anyway, just do it right way, the key for prevention and state of health becomes simple. So here is the questionnaire that I use. It's called What is my dosha? And these dosha type, they reflect in everything. I can give you some examples where There are people who are listening, and there are some people who might be sitting in one state of one position without moving, total focus. There are other peoples who might be, for no particular reason or stress, they might be just moving on the chair or just moving their leg. There are people who talk fast even if there is no rush of time to finish the subject. There are people who will be patient enough to listen and then react. And these are just characteristic features, because we can understand this as a genetic makeup. According to genetic makeup, you cannot do much about it, but in Ayurveda, this makeup tells you what are dominant properties in you, and based on those properties, what are the things that will be suitable to you, so that you can pick and choose what is best for you. So this is the questionnaire. I have these questionnaires here. Unfortunately, I don't have enough pencils for each one to give each one of you, but I can distribute these. Those who have pens can use this, and that will help you. On this questionnaire, these three principles, these three columns, the right hand column is for Vata, the middle column is for Pitta, and left hand is for Kapha. So when you answer these questions, then you can score the total at the bottom, and based on the score you will get, that will be your dosha type. And that will help you based on that. Then there is a list of foods for each dosha type, which means what pulses, what lentils, what dairies, what fruits, what vegetables, what spices are best for you. You can get that from that list. Not that you are abandoning anything. It's just that there could be same food in the family, but different kind of seasoning will flavor that better for you, as well as most suitable for maintaining the state of health. Can someone help to distribute these? So here are some of the features. I will just go through very quickly. How are we doing time-wise?
You have 10 minutes.
10 more minutes, or I only spoke 10 minutes?
10 more minutes.
10 minutes. So this is very interesting thing. Here, sometimes you would see in terms of digestion. There are people who say that, oh, I don't know, I sometimes live just on air and water, and still I smell the food and I gain weight. There are also those people who say, I eat 2 or 3 servings and still I don't gain weight. There are people who will say, I never had any problem with digestion, I can eat wooden meals and no problem with digestion. So that is again according to what are predominant qualities in the body. Those who say that they have always good digestion, but they will complain, if I come home and I don't get my food within few minutes, I start getting crazy. So these are the types, and what is problem with these people, those who have good digestion, is not the problems of indigestion or slow digestion that they will complain about. They will complain more about that they get heartburn. They will have that tendency. They will have tendency of gastric ulcers, duodenal ulcers. These people, what is best for them is to have small, frequent meals, which are not good for other 2 types. The other 2 types, they can only take 3 main meals, and that's only going to keep them healthy. If they eat more than that, they will start complaining, oh, I feel bloated, like food is just sitting there. So you can see how these small principles can help. One thing also I want to mention, this is totally different than the psychic type that sometimes it is used, or blood type that is used. In the blood type, you don't know the logic why you have to eat these particular foods for this dosha type. You are given a list, and that's what is your basic. In this, you have total rationale which applies to you, can understand, and you can pick and choose even new foods that you have never seen before and decide if it is good for you or not. This is the most important.